Hello everyone. I have one more screencast that I want to show you for today, and this one is on how to add images to a blog post. I've already shown you how you can add a a hyperlink to a new post. So let's call this our picture post, and say we want to add. Say we want to add an image to all of this text. When we preview a draft of this particular post, we see that we have a lot of text, but maybe we want to add an image to that to sort of add emphasis or highlight some important part of the text that we're examining. And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. When you're in the visual editor, one of the things that you can do is click the Add Media, put your cursor where you want your picture to be, and then you can use the Insert Add Media button. And if you have an image already on your desktop, you can drag and drop it to here and it'll show up, or you can select files from your desktop or computer, and the platform will import your image. And once there, you can give it a title. And you can change this, of course. You can give it a caption as well as alternate text and a description. You can decide to make sure that it aligns left or on the left or right side of your blog post. And I'm going to say let's align it left. And we're aligning to the media file. And we also want to make sure we have the right size. Maybe you just want a very small thumbnail sized image, or maybe you want the image to be the full size of the image. And just don't forget, sometimes these full size images can be very, very large. So make sure that you're giving the proper image size that you want to show up on your blog post. And once you have this all done, once you've done this, you can insert your image into the blog post. And then we can take a look at what it's going to look like in the preview. And that doesn't look too bad. Let's go ahead and delete that. Let's say, but there's another way that you can also add images to a blog post, and that's by using the text editor. Whereas most of us are going to be using the visual editor to add hyperlinks, to type in all of our text, to add media, sometimes we're going to want a little more fine control over what we're doing. And if you're familiar with HTML and coding, the text tab is the way that you want to do a lot of this work. So let's go there and put our cursor where we want the image to show up. And instead of using the Add Media button, what we can do is embed or hotlink our image by going to a site that has images already hosted on it. And the one that I like to use in order to find images that might be useful for a blog post is the Wikimedia Commons website. And Wikimedia Commons is a really wonderful place to go to find open sourced images and sounds and videos that anyone can use. These are in the public domain, so people can use these without having to worry about copyrights or infringing on anyone's copyright. So if you go to the images link of the Wikimedia Commons site and you search for, say, books, you'll scroll down and you'll find there's a lot of really interesting, we can get more specific than this, but there's a lot of really interesting images on the Wikimedia site related to the search term books. Let's click on this one, and that's a really interesting image. Let's say that we want to use this in our site. One way to do it is to download the image and then re-upload it into the blog using the Add Media button. Or, like I said before, we could use the text tab and hotlink the image that's on the site to your blog by clicking on the Use This File on the Web link. And what that gives us is a series of HTML commands that we can use to do the hot linking. We're going to take this code, copy it, and you can copy it however you like to. And then when we go over to the editor, the blog editor, just paste your image code where you want the image to show up on your blog post. Then click on Preview. And now we can see that the hot linked image is showing up on your blog post. And one of the reasons that this is a good way to go is that sometimes you don't want to host really large files on your blogging platform. Sometimes images get to be very, very large, and especially images and sound get very, very large. And sometimes you don't want to have them actually on the server that's hosting your blog. So hot linking is a really good way to do that, especially hot linking from a site like the Wikimedia Commons site. And you can also see that when you look at the code, and this is for those of you who are a little bit more advanced in this and you understand HTML, but if you want to adjust the size of the image, if you look through that code very carefully, you will see an img width attribute. The width attribute is what you really want to pay attention to here. And let's say we want to make that, instead of that being 512, we want it to be 300. Let's make it 300, and then hit the preview button again and see what that does. We've made our image a little bit smaller so that it better fits the blog post that we're creating. And so again, this is another one of those ways. I'll click out of the Wikimedia Commons. This is another one of the ways that we can add images to our site without hosting the actual image on the web. And this is by hot linking. Or, if you prefer, you can always use the Add Media button to add media to a particular blog post if you prefer. Either way works just as well, but hot linking is a really great way, and actually it's the preferable way for me. But if you have images of your own that you know are either belong to you or in the public domain, you can always upload them directly using the Add Media button and use them. That's all that I have for you, and thank you very much.